You're listening to SM Media, the number one place for exclusive Scottish football content.
Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media Scottish Football Show. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host on the show as always. We are delighted to be joined by, welcome back to the show, Lewis Walker. Lewis, been a while since we're on. How you been?
Hi Scott. No, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long time, as you say. I've been good. Obviously a lot of things going on, a lot of change for myself. Got myself a job working for the Telegraph now, covering Morton. So, I'm glad to be back on the show. Thanks for having me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure, and we'll get your thoughts on Morton later on in the show. A big win for them during the week. And we are delighted to be joined by, welcome back to the show, Reagan Stevenson. Reagan, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me again, Scott. It's good to be back on, and it's been great to see the Scottish football show back up and running, mate.
Yeah, absolutely delighted to have it back. And as always in the Scottish Football Show, we have plenty to talk about. We are going to start by talking about, we're recording this on Sunday night. It's been a busy weekend. There's been a lot of action across the four leagues, but there's been a lot going on today. We will start at Tannadice. Where else to start this weekend? Dundee United 0, Celtic 9 now. We can talk all we want about how dominant Celtic were, and Reagan, I'll get your thoughts on this. Obviously, a massive win for Celtic, but one of these scorelines that we very rarely talk about in Scottish football was a record result for Celtic, a record away win. Celtic were just absolutely dominant, like the passing, the movement, the goals. I mean, Kyogo and Abada with a hat trick as well. Juranovic, they're just so clinical. Reagan, that must have been impressive.
Scott, it was absolutely brilliant. I thought Celtic were absolutely brilliant. I mean, if you look at Kyogo's second goal that he scored, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
Really, I just thought the play that Andrews brought into the squad is amazing. I thought Dundee United started well with a wee chance with Stephen Fletcher, but then see as soon as Celtic got into their mojo and they started playing well, then I thought they just took they took Dundee United to the sword, as you would say, because I thought it was a damning day for Jack Ross as well, Scott.
Yeah, I think we'll go into Jack Ross in a few minutes. But Lewis, we can talk all we want about Dundee United. Obviously, their confidence you can see is just an all-time low. But you look at Celtic, you look at them, just the passing, as we spoke. Just the first goal in particular, the first goal just for me is just how clinical Celtic can be. That pass from Abada, I don't think you'll see a better pass all weekend. Jota and Kyogo know where each other will be. Jota knows where he's putting that ball, and Kyogo, as I've spoken this show many times in the past couple of years about his movement, where he knows where the goal is, he knows the right positions to be in. You can just look at all the goals Celtic score today, and it's just so in unison, and it's just that this. I know we talk about this "we never stop" thing, but you can see that. You can see it's just get as many goals as possible, just go for the jugular, and that is what Celtic did all game. And it's just it was so impressive. I was so impressed with just the whole game for Celtic, to be honest.
No, definitely, Scott, I agree. It was just Celtic at their clinical, ruthless best, wasn't it? I watched the majority of the first half. First goal, like you mentioned, was frightening. Such a good ball for Abada, and it's just Jota and the Kyogo link up. It's a great ball across and touch, and just sets himself finish. The second finish as well is just so instinctive. It's just at a different level, and
you can't coach that.
You can see as well with him. Like obviously had the injury and stuff last season, but when Celtic have got him at the top end of the pitch firing, there's Colak for Rangers, but there's obviously there's no a better goal scorer in the country. And like you mentioned Abada as well, like Abada has you can see him maybe definitely the first few games of the season, like Maida's been playing ahead of him and Abada's kind of been in and out of the team, but it just shows like the squad depth at Celtic as well. The likes of Abada can come in and come up with a hat-trick. Obviously, you can talk about how poor Dundee United were. Obviously, you should never be losing that amount of goals in a top-flight game to any side, but Celtic were absolutely frightening. And as I mentioned, Kyogo as well, him, and then you've got like likes of Giakoumakis. He wasn't even involved. I think he missed it through illness or something. Such different players, but just both offer so many goals, and it's just going to be so difficult for any team to keep Celtic out there. You'll do well to keep a clean sheet against that front line, that's for sure.
The one thing that sticks out to me about Celtic, and we've spoke about it many times in the show, is that you kind of know what their 11 is going to be most weeks. Like we talk a lot about squad depth. You can see, I think O'Reilly today was absolutely tremendous. He was just everywhere. He was popping up everywhere. Hatate, who I've kind of been hot and cold on, I think he showed today. I think he was unlucky not to get a goal himself. I think the goalkeeper could have saved him from a goal. But there's just so much depth in that Celtic squad, and you look at you're 9-0 up, and your defenders are getting in the act as well. Reagan, that's a tough one, because I don't want to kind of say that Celtic, it's going to be tough for them to kind of balance Champions League and the league and things like that. But you look at that squad and you look at the difference in it in a year. What do you kind of do with that? Because you've got league games coming up every week. You've got the Champions League. We'll touch on the Champions League later on when we talk about the kind of groups and things like that. But do you think that's going to be a different thing for Celtic, how they balance the squad depth and things like that? Or do you think there's a routine that Ange's got in mind of how he wants to kind of set up? Because in my mind, in the Champions League, you play your best players. In the league, Celtic can afford to maybe make 3 or 4 changes. Same with Rangers. How do you balance that? Is that going to be something different for Postecoglou to work out?
I think it's a difficult one, Scott, because like we're talking about there, I think his motto was Celtic never stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'll be difficult for them to play at the same intensity when they've got 2 games per week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think especially when they've got a Champions League, it'll be interesting to see. But I suppose the interesting thing for Ange is that he said after the game he's looking to bring in 2 players before the deadline. So I think he's looking for a striker and possibly another central midfielder to try and beef up that squad. Because I think people like Mikey Johnson and McCarthy might go out the door, and you might see Ange try and bring in Moy in more often for the Scottish Premiership and play Rio in the Champions League games, something like that, because the intensity of the play is so high, and I think Ange want to retain this title, especially with the automatic qualification for Champions League, because we've seen how difficult it was for Rangers to get through those 2 group stage ones. So Ange want to not so much prioritise Champions League, but I want to make his mark in there as well.
Lewis, we talk about how good Celtic were, but we need to turn that around and talk about just how poor Dundee United were. I mean, we're talking 3 weeks ago about them beating AZ Alkmaar and looking terrific, and you look at that squad of players, and I'm just going to run through some of the players they've got in their team. Stephen Fletcher, Tony Watt, Dylan Levitt, Ian Harkes, Ryan Edwards, Nicky Clark, Craig Sibbald, Jamie McGrath. There's so many players in that team. That is a decent squad. That is a decent team. That is Glenn Middleton. Now, we haven't even mentioned him. That is a team that are no way 9 goals worse off than any team in that league. I don't care how good Celtic played. Something is badly wrong in terms of confidence. And in my opinion, I don't want to single out Jack Ross, but I think the buck stops the manager, because you look at the post-match press conference, Jack Ross is, to me, he doesn't have that big club mentality. And the United are a big club. They've got history and as a big club. That, to me, you do not lose 9-0 and recover from it, in my opinion, especially at a club like that.
No, you're spot on with what you've said, Scott. I think Ross, the comments he's made, and I think obviously the players are absolutely short of confidence, and I just don't think they've learned from that. AZ, a 7-0 drubbing, obviously it's one of probably the worst experiences you can face as a football player, but you learn from nights like that, and
yeah, exactly.
It doesn't look like it's happened, and the results have shown it. They're yet to win a game. The only team in the league that haven't. You can't be losing 9 goals to MD in your domestic league. That's just big problems there, and it does come down to Jack Ross. And I don't like criticising managers, but it's going to be a real uphill task for him to turn things around there. I just cannot see it happening, but it's still early. It's the only thing I will say. But I mean, I don't even know what kind of direction, what kind of path they could be looking at. Obviously, he's no long in the door either, so it's a difficult one to lift players for conceding. I've seen a thing today about their aggregate score in the last 5 games, like being like 23-1 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no turning that around quickly anyway, and they obviously can't. As I mentioned, it's still early on, but they obviously can't let that slip away too much, and they'll just find themselves with too much to do in terms of like staying up and stuff. But obviously, as you say, it's still early as well.
It's still early, yeah. But one thing that catches my eye with Dundee United and Reagan, I'll get your thoughts on this. I was never a good football player, right? But I know football players, and they give me they tell me about the mentality they have. If you're 4-0 down at half time, right, against a team like Celtic, you're doing everything you can. You're not going to win you're not going to come back into the game unless you perform some sort of miracle. It's damage limitation. You don't make it worse. The defending in the second half from Dundee United, to me, was amateur. It's so the amount of time Celtic, and I know Celtic are brilliant at making space, but some of the defending was horrendous. And that just either strikes to me as a team completely out of confidence or a team just shot to pieces in terms of they know they're going to get a doing. So let's just, do you know what I mean? Like I'm not saying for a minute they lay down. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that how when you're 4-0 down at half time, if I was 4-0 down in a dressing room at half time, I would be doing everything I can to get tight to players. Don't make that worse. Don't make that any more humiliating. And the Dundee United just weren't doing that, Reagan.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit, like a training game for Celtic in the second half.
Yeah,
I don't want to be bad on Dundee United, but I think, see if you're a player and you can't go out there and show 110% for the supporters in the stadium, I think it's a disgrace, to be honest. I mean, if Celtic were clinical, that could have been like 15-0 easily. The keeper, he had 3 good saves in the first half, which could have made it possibly 7-0 in the first half. So if he doesn't save them, then Celtic are going in 7-0 up, and then second half, I just thought the players kind of lacked for me, they lack trust. They lack a kind of, I don't know, a belief. I don't know. I was starting to feel sorry for them because I felt like they were kind of hoping it was full time when it was like 65 minutes on the clock, and I'm thinking, see, if you're a Dundee United player, try and get a shot. Try and show the fans that you appreciate them being there and you want to show that you care about the club. But for me, it was just, and then for me, I seen Jack Ross's interview at the end as well. No, I understand what he means. It's difficult for him, but I thought Jack Ross was very unfortunate to lose his job at Easter Road. But then when you see the performances of the past couple of games, I think it's very hard to see him in that job, because if you look at it, they've lost so many goals, and so many goals that easily could be prevented, because see if they just close the guy down or put a tackle in, I think it would have been respectable if it would have finished 4-0, but for the game to finish 9-0, possibly going on 15, I think it's a disgrace to the fans that paid money.
With Jack Ross, now obviously very friendly with Rory Loy and guys that have worked with Jack Ross, and they talk about how good he is, and I get that, and he's done a magnificent job at St Mirren, but can we honestly say his record after St Mirren's been great? I mean, went to Sunderland, wasn't brilliant, obviously lost his job. Hibs, I think it was, I mean, I remember fans saying at the time it was dull and boring under Jack Ross. Is this kind of beginning to become a cycle with Jack Ross of living off a job? Because his playing career obviously was at teams like St Mirren and Hamilton, and no disrespect to them, but would you say they're big clubs? They're big, massive clubs where the demands are really high, and when he's went to Sunderland and Hibs and now Dundee United, it's not working out. Do you think there's maybe a mentality problem there that you just can't work out? Like, when there's that high standards, is that the issue? Because that's what it's beginning to look like to me. Now, I might be wrong, might be totally wrong, but that to me isn't a coincidence.
It's one of them as well. When he got the Sunderland job, you just thought how highly rated he was, and it's
exactly,
kind of just slightly downhill. And now it's just a case of, if it's not going to work at Dundee United, which it highly unlikely that it will, given the start, you just wonder what's going to be next for Jack Ross. Like, he's never going to get another big job.
No.
I mean, they're really big clubs that you've stated there. Obviously, he's worked his way up, and he's still at a relatively big club, as you said. But I seen the thing as well, just going back on what Reagan was saying about, obviously, it could be like keeping it to down, keeping it to like 4-0 instead of 9-0 kind of thing, like showing a bit of pride. I seen the thing as well, like Dundee United only had one player booked. Like, you need to go and get close to it. You need to put challenges in. Obviously, you never encourage, you don't say go and hurt people, but you need to go and get close. You need to put tackles in, and obviously them not able to get near Celtic today in any department, but just things like that. Like, it could be a mentality thing, and it can stem for the manager, and Ross is in trouble. That's basically the way to look at it.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask you one question, right? I thought it was strange that Tony Watt and Charlie Mulgrew, probably two of their best players, is sitting on that bench for the full 90 minutes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought that at the time. I was like, why are you not starting Mulgrew? Why are you playing? Because in my opinion, you play your best team, especially against Celtic, and I don't buy this thing of, you're not expected to win. Dundee United players should have been bang up for that. That is a chance to overcome, in my opinion, 3 weeks of hell. I mean, since that home Alkmaar game, it's been, I think they've lost to Livingston, you've lost 3-0 at home to St Mirren, you've obviously been battered by Alkmaar, and I get that freak results happen. I get that. One game you can just have a bad day, and the team are just better than you on the day. But for it to happen twice in the space of 3 weeks suggests more than that to me. Now, Celtic were absolutely clinical. I can't argue. Like, Celtic were just rampant. It could have been 15. It could have been. And Celtic will probably think we should have had more, but you just can't, in my opinion, tell me that Dundee United aren't shot to pieces, and it's just so bad to see. And as Lewis says, where do you go from there? Unless Jack Ross gets him out of a hole and wins their next 7-8 games, and before you know it, they're sitting fourth in the league. Now, that squad to me is capable of finishing fourth in the league. That squad to me is outside of the top three, arguably, between them and Aberdeen in terms of talent. Stephen Fletcher's there, Charlie Mulgrew. Do you know what I mean? There's players in there that are. I mean, this team's finished fifth. I think they finished fifth last season and have improved. They've got Craig Sibbald. They brought in Stephen Fletcher. They've signed Dylan Levitt permanently. Do you know what I mean? They are better than you can't turn around and tell me that's all down to Tam Courts. Now, Tam Courts obviously did a really good job, but that's a talented squad. That squad should not be losing 9-0 at home to anybody. I don't care who you are. But we'll touch on the next game that happened on Sunday. There's obviously, but we need to give full praise to Celtic because they were absolutely magnificent. But a game that was a bit tighter on Sunday was Hearts 3, St Johnstone 2. A late Lawrence Shankland penalty gave Hearts a late 3-2 winner. Lewis, two teams, in my opinion, who are probably going to need to be busy before the end of the transfer window. Hearts, I think, are maybe needing a couple of players just for kind of depth. I think you see there today, you look at their subs bench, and it's really, really kind of down to the bare bones, but they're still getting the job done.
Oh, definitely. I think, obviously, evidence of last season, obviously, they're the best side outside the old firm. Bringing in Shankland's a really good bit of business. He started really well. He's going to get them goals. It was a gutsy performance for Hearts, I thought. It's going to be tough after the disappointment midweek. I watched the game against Zurich. I thought they were really good in the first half, but they missed a lot of chances, and there was a real kind of lack of cutting edge. The final ball was quite poor, I thought. Just before you say about the Hearts game, is that sound of the birds tweeting still in your head? Because it's still in my head for the time that. Do you remember it get cut off? Oh, aye.
And they were playing the birds tweeting, and that's been stuck in my head for Thursday night.
Oh, I know. A good 10 minutes or something towards the end of it. I know I actually missed their goal. No, I think they made a lot of changes as well today. Which I think they were forced into. They've got a lot of players injured, and then as you mentioned, they definitely need to do a wee bit of business just for a bit of cover. I think they did announce a signing. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the guy's name.
I'm going to try it. Orestes Miotizoglu. Let's go with that. That's close, isn't it?
There you go. That's not bad.
So obviously announcing him's going to be a bonus, and they'll probably try and do a bit of business between now and the end of the window. For the likes of St Johnstone, that's to take the lead, they'll be disappointed not to come away with anything like that today. Davison, he's going to have another real battle this season. Obviously they were victorious in the playoff against Inverness, but I think it's too early to kind of judge teams and whether they're going to be okay or not and stuff like that. But for likes of St Johnstone, obviously Dundee United with their situation at the moment is going to be kind of helping them and gives them an opportunity to maybe pull away and stuff like that. But they'll be disappointed not to come away with definitely at least a point after taking the lead against a Hearts side that made a lot of changes. But obviously the likes of Shanklin coming up with the winger, he's going to be a big player for them. And the likes of Mackay as well, he's been a real standout. Mm-hmm. He's been excellent so far this season from what I've watched of them. But no, it's a big win for Hearts, and obviously they'll be disappointed for midweek, but still European football, which is a big bonus for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Regan, what was your thoughts on Hearts 3-2 over St Johnstone?
I actually managed to see a bit of this game. I thought they dominated most of the game. Hearts. St Johnstone did well to take the lead, but I think that's just been the tail of the season. They've done not bad, but I just don't think they've got that the clinical edge, but also then the stalwart to try and keep the ball at the back of the net. Because I think when you lose Sean Rooney, Xander Clark, those are big players for your team. And sadly for St Johnstone, I think they're probably going to have the same sort of season as they did last season, because of their not being able to see out the spells in the game when they played well. But from a Hearts point of view, I thought they played well. They probably should have been 3-1 up or 4-1 up, but St Johnstone stuck in there well, and I don't know if you managed to see it, Scott, but it was a definite penalty for the 3-2 victory. So fair play to Robbie Nielsen, and I'm sure he'll be looking to add a few players before Friday's deadline, I think it is.
I think you're right. I think the thing with Hearts is that what caught my eye the first half on Thursday, they were a lot more kind of playing football. It was more about getting the ball on the ground and just there's a plan there. I think they were really unlucky not to be in front at half time actually, but the Grant thing was obviously silly and probably cost them the game. But I mean, that's a sore one to take. That to come back from that and win and show guts, as Lewis says, 1-0 down, you're back to 2 each and things like that. That's a tough one to take, especially after a disappointment. But then to go on and win the game, and that's why Warren Shanklin's there. I mean, it's a penalty, but to score goals and win games, that's 3 vital points. And as I say, I think Hearts were very, very happy to get that result. St Johnstone, I think, have shown a bit more threat. I think they need to bring in. I think they need goals badly.
They need goals.
You can't rely on Stevie May as much. I think he's a good player. I think there's a. I mean, Graham Carey, Andy Considine with the 2 goals today. I mean, you look at their team, May and Murphy. I'm a big fan of Jamie Murphy, but you need more than that, in my opinion, if you're going to survive in this league. And you see the likes of kind of St Mirren are going on a really good run. I think Kilmarnock had a big one as well. So there's already beginning to be that kind of teams will beat each other, and St Johnstone won't want to be down that, but they'll be wanting to get a run going as quickly as possible, and it's already looking tight at that bottom 6. So I think they'll be desperate to get a couple of forward bodies in before the end of the window.
Yeah, no, I think that's true, Scott. I think especially when they're playing European football, because they've got the Conference League as well.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, for St Johnstone, as much as I like Stevie May, I don't think he'll score you that many goals. He'll probably score you about 5 or 6, but you need more people. I think you need more players to put the ball in the net for you. So I think for Davidson, he'll be going to the board and saying, look, if we want to even stay in this league, we need to bring in some more forward-thinking players.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. I think you expect to see both sides busy before the end of August. But we'll move into the games on Saturday. We'll start at Ibrox. Rangers 4-0 win over Ross County. Colak continuing his really good start with 2 goals. Lundstrom and Davis getting on the score sheet as well. Lewis, I'll come to you. I thought Rangers were very, very good. I thought that was probably their best league performance so far. Obviously coming off a massive high on Wednesday against PSV, getting into the Champions League. Just creates a wee spring in their step, I think. And you saw they're beginning to gel. You see the new signings, they're beginning to interlink well with each other. Colak looks really, really good. I think his 2 goals showed that he's probably been missing for that. He's been that kind of missing link for a while in terms of kind of creating space and a good finisher. I thought Rangers were very clinical. I thought that was probably the best I've seen them so far this season.
Nah, Rangers were excellent on Saturday. Definitely. Just touching on Colak, it's obviously 7-7 for him now. The two goals on Saturday. The third goal was superb. I thought really well worked. And you mentioned the new training.
The interlink with Kent and Lawrence. It's just that beginning, like just knowing where each other are, and just that finally getting to grips with one another. And I think that's going to be good going forward.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Obviously, kind of still learning each other's game. Like Sir Lawrence, he's chipped in with a couple of goals, but it was just a line cut. It's a real instinctive finish from Chola. He's made a brilliant impact since coming in. Obviously, filled the boots of Morelos. He's going to really struggle, I think, to get back in that team, especially with the kind of system that Rangers play, like to go with. Just the one up, I can't really ever. Obviously, maybe when they're chasing a goal or whatever, but I can't really ever see the two of them being on the same park.
I don't think so. I don't. Well, Van Bronckhorst says it's very unlikely, but you would be interesting to see like if they could do it, because I think they're potentially 2 kind of different players. So you would wonder if they work well together. But
they maybe complement each other. But
yeah,
it's one that obviously remains to be seen. But it's a really good option, obviously, to have if you can get Morelos back playing. You know what he's going to offer you. But no, I thought Rangers were really good. Confidence flying high after obviously qualifying for the Champions League. So it's a massive bonus of the club, obviously financially, and gives everyone a lift. And it showed the confidence going at the weekend. I thought as well it was not bold, but I suppose when they drop points against Hibs, you can't afford to make too many changes. But just the kind of enforced change, obviously Kamara, I think, picked up an injury. So just the one change from midweek, especially the kind of growing 90 minutes in Eindhoven, just to make the one to put Scott Wright in, who I thought was really good as well. Off kind of something different pace-wise down the right side. But I thought, obviously, the likes can maybe, you can't underestimate these teams like Ross County at home. Maybe in the future, maybe you can make 3 or 4 changes in a game like that and still run out winners. But no, I think obviously you should touch on Ross County as well. I thought Sands was really lucky.
We'll touch on that.
I wasn't sure who was going to mention it, but I'm not gonna leave that out in my assessment of the game. Obviously, you look at the scoreline and think, it's just another comfortable Rangers victory. But I think if you look at obviously the decision, on a booking, I think the first one was a yellow card, and the second, I think you could argue it could even be a straight red card.
But that's the thing that gets me with this thing, right? Let's see. We spoke last week. We obviously done the thing about the performance of Willie Collum and obviously how some poor refereeing last week. But I was screaming about consistency. The first one of Sands is a yellow card, despite Goldson's there. I think it's a yellow card. I don't have a problem with it being a yellow card. The second one to me is far worse than that. Why? Don Robertson's in full view of it. Unless Don Robertson thinks he slips and it's a kind of accident. But how can you book one and not the other? In my opinion, it's a red card. He's got, I think that, and it changes.
I never even thought about it. Like thinking it could be a slip, it just baffled me when you.
But
watch
even
it back,
still, even if he's slipping, his feet are away, so he's grabbing on, so he's bringing him down. It is a foul. So, and that's 2 very similar challenges. And how can you give a yellow and a foul for the first one, but not a yellow and a foul for the second one? And that just to me is screaming this lack of consistency. And I don't understand why he hasn't showed him a second yellow. I think he's a very, very lucky boy. And I also think Malky Mackay has every right to be angry.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not saying Rangers. I think Rangers would probably still won the game. I think they were just far better on the day. But you wonder at 0-0, what Ross County are thinking. Do you know what I mean? Because Rangers need to change shape.
Yeah.
Rangers need to change their mindset and their game plan.
Yeah.
You wonder what happens for there, and I think he's every right, Reagan, to be upset.
It's one of the... Sorry.
Sorry, mate, on you go.
No, I was just going to, as you mentioned, Scott, I was just going to say, like, obviously how good Rangers were. I don't think, I think Rangers are obviously fully expected to still go on and win that game with 10 men, but you never know. At 0-0 and Ross County, I don't know if that would change Ross County's mindset to go and kind of have more of a goal and stuff. You mentioned obviously Rangers probably having to change their shape and stuff like that, but it's decisions like that. Or Ross County are not, they're not going to be judged in games against the Old Firm, home or away. But when they go to Ibrox, everything needs to go their way. And
exactly,
yeah. I don't know. But.
And I get the whole thing of, as you say, Ross County, they won't be judged, but as you say, it's a different game altogether, and I just do not understand why Don Robertson doesn't show him a red card. I just really, I don't, because he's caught flat-footed. He's not in the right position. He's pulling him down. It is a red card, in my opinion. It shows again the desperation we need for VAR, because VAR sends him off. Why is it coming in November? Why is it coming in December? VAR overturns that, and I've spoke to a referee this morning. It's not Charlie Richmond, and he told me VAR would have absolutely overturned that. So why is it not in? If that happens 3 months from now, it's a red card. So again, just shows this lack of consistency that I talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was especially strange that I think the fact that Don Robertson has got a full scale view of that, like, fair enough if you can't see it, and he's got Rangers and Ross County players blocking him. Fair play if he's got that, but he's got a full scale view of what's happening. And I think if you're Sands, you'll be very fortunate for to stay on that park. And like you say, for Malcolm Mackay, Malcolm would have thought, right, if that's 0-0 at half time and Rangers out to 10 men, he would fancy himself to say, right, well, at worst, we're going to get a draw here.
I mean, he's got to. I mean, he's got to think, what if? I mean, we all think it. Like, if a decision doesn't, what if that's a different decision? What if? I mean, as you say, Rangers probably need to take off one of those attackers who were contributing well in the game and bring on a defender. So again, it just works. I still think Rangers have won the game. I thought they were impressive on the day, but again, we'll touch on this kind of Alfredo Morelos thing. If Morelos stays, and I think he will, I don't think that was a thing to say, let's get Morelos sold. I think that was Van Bronckhorst. I think it was a tough love thing. I really do. I think it was Van Bronckhorst giving him a kick up the backside to say, you need to get into shape. You need to get yourself on the game because you're so important to this team. And he is. He's the best striker in the country, in my opinion, when he's on top form. It's between him and Kyogo.
Yeah.
In terms of, but again, he is not Alfredo Morelos at the moment. He is not the Alfredo Morelos that, as the top European goal scorer, is so vital to that team. He's Alfredo Morelos who is getting himself sent off for a silly thing that he doesn't need to get involved in. And you can see he's not fully in match fitness. He's coming off a bad injury. He looks as if he's not in full fitness. He needs to get up to speed. So I think Van Bronckhorst Lewis, it's about giving him tough love, and you see that already. I think Morelos, he's learning already because he's in the gym. I mean, I'm looking at his Instagram every day and he's in the gym. I think that's exactly what Van Bronckhorst was trying to get. Just a bit more kind of, what's the word, motivation to get him back to shape, in my opinion.
I think the thing with Morelos, I think obviously you know how good a player you're getting when he's in the top of his game, obviously when his attitude's right, when he's not getting involved with centre halves, doing stupid stuff, getting sent off. I think the thing is, I fully expect him to stay as well, definitely. I think, I'm not saying he's definitely not by his best, but I'm thinking if Rangers were ever going to get the most money for him, that's probably been and gone. I think the year he was scoring like against Porto in the Europa League, it was frightening, like scoring against European outfits at Ibrox, home and away to Porto. I think you can definitely talk like double figures. No, I think he's in the last year of his contract as well.
Yeah, I know. I think that's a big thing as well, because you either need to. I get the whole thing of players want to run down contracts now for better signing on fees, and I spoke about that. I wrote a wee piece the other day about it. But Rangers have got to either sell him if they feel that you're not going to get the value you originally thought, or you get him in, you get him playing. He's happy. I think he's happy. If he's, I mean, you see, I think his whole demeanour is determined by how he plays on the park. I think if he's scoring goals and involving play, I think he's the happiest wee guy on the planet. But I think if he's not firing and things aren't going his way, you see that wee petted lip coming, and you know he's not happy. You can see by his face he's not happy. So I think that's the big thing with Alfredo Morelos, getting a good situation on the park.
Yeah. I think, like, obviously you've got Colak, and that's a big bonus for Rangers. The fact he's firing, which is a welcome distraction to the fact Morelos is kind of nowhere to be seen at the moment. But obviously you hope for his sake. Obviously he's got a big job in his hands trying to get back into that team. His head's on it, and then the likes of Roof's out as well. So you think as well, if anything was to happen to Colak, what are Rangers going to do? So that's where they need Morelos, obviously, to be kind of back fit and firing, ready to go. But it's just obviously really frustrating kind of first few games, especially when he was coming back after that injury and they were just trying to get him up to speed. So he wasn't really starting games, he was just coming on and trying to get minutes, and then obviously getting involved with that stuff like the elbow at Hibs. But
I think that shows the bravery of Van Bronckhorst as well, because I think as well, you're saying there about the lack of options Rangers have up front. Now, he went to Eindhoven with Colak as his main striker, and that was it. Now, if you're needing a goal with 20 minutes to go and you've got Alfredo Morelos there, you're feeling a bit more confident. He took a big risk leaving him out. That to me shows that he's got the long-term situation in mind, that, yeah, that game was massive and it was absolutely massive for the club, but to get Morelos' backside into gear, I think that's what you had to do. And I think this is...
Yeah.
I think, again, I don't know if he will. I don't know if he's available to play on Tuesday night against Queen of the South. But that's a game for me if he's fit and ready to go. Throw him in for the start. That's a chance for him to get himself going a wee bit, and it shows you. Give Colak a rest. I think he's been terrific so far, but there's no harm in giving him a rest. Get Morelos in, see what he can do. If it's not working after 60 minutes, get him off. But I think that could be a time to put him on and see if he's learning his lesson.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think Morelos will sign a new contract, Scott. I don't know what you think, but I just think it was a case of Van Bronckhorst saying, right, Alfredo, you need to start doing something for this team. Do you think it's the case that he's got proper competition now, that he's properly seen it? Because for me, I think now that he's got Colak in there, it's quite difficult for him, because I don't mean this a bad way, but when Van Bronckhorst was here last year, it was always the case that Alfredo Morelos was playing every single game fixture the Rangers played. So I think now he knows he's in a proper competition, and he knows that he needs to get fit and needs to get firing, because I think in the past, I think you had not the same striking options the Rangers have got now, because if you look at it, I think he's got proper competition there in Colak. I think Colak's been great. I mean, he scored, is it 9 goals in 9 games?
I think it's 7 and 7.
So 7 and 7, sorry. I mean, see that goal he scored yesterday? See that goal he scored yesterday? The second goal, that's just so good, and I think he's been a great player for Rangers so far.
I'm with Morelos as well. It's that I think last Saturday's red card was frustration at trying to prove himself, trying to kind of do too much. I think it's just trying to get yourself, trying to make something happen, and that's it. It just didn't work, and I think he is frustrated. I think any player would be frustrated if you've been the jersey for so long, and then this guy comes in and hits the ground running. And I'll be very honest, I don't think I've seen a Rangers striker since probably Michael Moles, who's started so well in terms of scoring goals. Like, I really don't. I think he's started. I mean, despite the stick he had at the start of the season, I mean, I would like Mark Hateley right now, who's a Rangers legend. I would like him to come out and issue a public apology for laying off Antonio Colak after 2 games, I mean, he must be kicking himself now because you see that he's a better option. You see he's a good option. Even if I think if Morelos and Colak are fully fit, Morelos starts. I think that even if Cholak's hitting the ground running, but you're more than capable in this days of squad depth with so many games coming up. You can play one and then the other. You don't need to stick. Just because Morelos will start one game doesn't mean Cholak's frozen out. I think they'll rotate. I think that's the plan. But I think Giovanni Van Bronckhorst needs to see a better side of Alfredo Morelos than he's seen since he come back from injury. But we could talk about this all night, but we'll move on to Aberdeen 5, Livingston 0. Reagan, let's talk about Aberdeen. It was 0-0 at just before half-time. Livingston with a better team. Probably should have scored before half-time.
Yeah.
Fitzwater gets a red card and the doors open in that Livingston defence and Aberdeen are clinical with a 5-0 victory.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was sending off for a penalty, but I think David Martindale will just be disappointed of the manner of his side's performance in that second half. I mean, they just, I think they just froze. It was a great second goal from Ross McCrory. He scored a great goal. Miovski, he looks to be a great striker for Aberdeen, Miovski. And they've got some good players now. They've got I can't remember the guy at the back, but I think they've got so many good players in Aberdeen that you start to think Jim Goodwin's building something good there, and I think they can challenge for that spot, especially when I think Robbie Nielsen's side will be in the Conference League until probably Christmas time or after, and then they could possibly get to the last 16 or something like that. So I think if you're Aberdeen and you're playing Saturday, and then you've got Robbie Nielsen's side playing Sunday every single week, I think you'll fancy your chances to get from a place back from.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were extremely clinical after the red card changes the game because Livingston are on top, but that's all. Once that red card goes in, Aberdeen just switch on and you see just how clinical they are. Miovski, I think, looks terrific. I think he's similar in terms of Colak, in terms of just movement. I think he's a good finisher. I think there's a lot to like about that Aberdeen team right now, Lewis. I'm very, very impressed with them so far, and especially 0-0 at 40 minutes and Livingston looking the better side. I mean, all it takes is that, and then Aberdeen just turn up.
I know it was an interesting one. It was a result that really surprised me because they were kind of not. I fancied Aberdeen probably just to take it at home, but it's one of them, like form kind of suggested. I think they both won 2 from the first 4 or something.
Yeah.
I think form suggested it could be pretty close, and then you see a 5-0 scoreline. Like, where did that come from? Obviously, the red card changes the game. I think, as Reagan mentioned, it was a red card. I think both penalties were correct decisions. But at 0-0, Livingston really had a few openings. Nobody had a good chance with his left foot. He kind of dragged. There was one Obalai's header that was kept out early on as well. That was a good save. So any of them go in, you'll be talking about a different game. Obviously the red card, as you said. But no, Aberdeen were really clinical, and Miovski up front he does look the part. Took his obviously the penalty, but he took. I was really impressed with his second goal. It was a really good pass initially, and a cracking finish across the keeper, his left foot. But no, Aberdeen looks promising for them. Obviously, as Regan mentioned as well, the likes of Hearts, they're European. It all depends on their kind of squad depth, how they use their squad and how they manage the European journey, as you say, with their league duties. And Aberdeen could maybe take advantage of that to try and sneak into that kind of third, fourth positions. And obviously, like you said, Dundee United were up there last season. You can't really see that happen again unless they have a massive change. So now, good chance for Aberdeen to kick on, and Ross McCrory's was the standout. It's a cracking hit. And
it's a cracking hit.
He seems to be looking the part and doing well for them in the midfield.
Yeah, I think they're really impressive in every area of the field. I think that boy Clarkson's come in for Liverpool. He looks the part as well. Yeah. You've got the likes of Bezuzian who scored. You've got that boy Duck. You've got so many talented players. And that boy Ryan Duncan comes on again. I think it was his first appearance. He scored his first goal. So he'll be, that'll do him the world a good going forward. But yeah, another really impressive performance by Aberdeen. Kilmarnock have got a win on the board, much to Mark Wilson's surprise. Kilmarnock are finally on the mark. Reagan, this is a tough one because you look back at that game on Saturday, and I've said this to Wilson numerous times so far. The big problem, I think, with Kilmarnock at the moment is you've got Ollie Shaw and Kyle Lafferty flat out of confidence. They're just not finding the target. They're not scoring goals.
Oh.
So for Motherwell to take the lead through Van Veen and Kilmarnock to show this recovery, I think it's massive for Kilmarnock because everything that's going wrong for them up front is going wrong. And to still win that game and show that recovery to me shows you that could be the turning point. And if they get the strikers firing, I think they'll be fine.
Scott, I think it is definitely. I mean, I thought they played well once that first goal goes in from Motherwell. It was a great goal by Motherwell, actually, from Van Veen. But yeah, I mean, it's a great win for Derek McInnes because I think they could probably win more than 2-1, actually. They did a great chance through Shaw as well, Scott. I don't know if you've seen that as well. But yeah, I mean, I think Derek McInnes is looking to add a few more players in, and I think they'll be totally fine because they've got some decent players. Big Taylor at the back looks to be finding some form again, and obviously they've got some decent players in the front areas as well. And I think if you're a fan of Derek McKenzie's side, then I think you'll be positive because you could. I think they've got a clear objective to stay in the Premiership after popping up last year. So I think they'll be positive as long as they can get a few more bodies in between now and Friday for the transfer deadline. Because I think the only thing I would say about Derek McInnes side is I think they look a bit short for me. They look because I think you seen the game against Celtic. They just looked a little bit lacking confidence and stuff like that. So I think if they get a few more players in, then they'll be totally fine, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've had a good point there about the fact that, Lewis, I mean, they take off Shaw and Lafferty at 1-0 down and win the game. I think that tells you everything you need to know. I think McInnes sees what I'm seeing, that they're the two strikers who you want to score goals, who have terrific goal records, just aren't doing it at the moment. And it's not to say they won't do it in the future, but right now he saw something that we all saw, and I mean, it's worked in his favour. He's took a gamble and it's paid off. But if he gets them firing, then Kelly could be okay, I think.
Yeah, you can look at it from that side, definitely. If your strikers aren't firing and you're winning games, winning their first win, it's a big relief for Kilmarnock. A really good big result for them. To take off your two strikers and then to turn things round is obviously a real positive. It'll be interesting to see if McInnes is able to move and bring another one in up there. I don't know if there's an indication of taking those two off that's something that he wants to happen, or if he's going to have the opportunity to bring someone else in. But I think a real big result for Kilmarnock, and they definitely needed it. But I thought it was a real missed opportunity for Motherwell, especially after taking the lead. And they were obviously kind of on the up. Obviously, 2 wins since Hamill got the job permanently. A cracking goal for Van Veen, as Reagan mentioned as well. It was a great ball for Spittle, and he put it away well. But no, it's a massive result from Kilmarnock, and there'll be real relief there. And all depends if they can kind of get firing at the top end of the pitch. But I know Big Ash Taylor seems to be the man for goals for them. That's 2 already this season for the centre back, and feel like he'll be a real threat in both boxes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're bang on. I think Kilmarnock a massive win for them, but Motherwell will be kicking themselves that they let a lead go so easily because they were in command in the game. Quick shout out as well to Danny Armstrong, who's really looked, who I think took the game to the scruff of the neck yesterday. I thought he was really good as well. I've always been a big admirer of Danny. Obviously, was at school. He was a year below me, so I always like seeing him do well, and it was good to see him do well yesterday. So the final game in the Premiership was St Mirren 1, Hibs 0. Lewis, I think this is a tale of St Mirren in a good wee run of form, but again, Hibs, it's not, apart from last Saturday, it's not happening at all for them this season.
I know. I think I heard. I was listening to the phone in last Saturday, and they were saying about the positive. Obviously, a bit of positivity, snatching a draw against Rangers. Obviously, any result against Old Firm's a good result. But a Hibs fan was angry about it. He was basically saying, how many times can this keep happening? Nicking a last minute goal. He done it against Hearts as well in the derby. No, I think for him, it's just no seem to be clicking yet with Johnson. Also losing the likes of McGeady through injury. He's kind of a tricky player that can make a difference and stuff like that. But I fancied someone for that game. I fancied them to nick that, and they did. They run a real good run there. That's 3 wins in a row. There seems to be a real good buzz around the place at one part. I think they took their goal really well. It was a good bit of skill initially for Strain, and a good cutback for Bacchus to tap in. I think Bacchus himself got actually had a hat-trick and he missed a barrel load of chances. I think Hibs as well, they were still a threat. They could have maybe nicked something from the game, a couple of opportunities, especially in the second half, but it's a difficult one for Lee Johnson, and going in there, it's a big job, and it's not quite. I think it all stems back to obviously what happened in the League Cup as well. That was just the kind of worst possible start for him. Obviously, you're expected to get out of the League Cup kind of comfortably, and it never happened. Out of the group, I should say. It's one of them. I know they've got good players, Hibs, that's for sure. It just doesn't seem to be coming together. But I think they've just kind of ran into St Mirren when they're in a kind of good run of form. Any other time, they definitely fancy themselves to go to St Mirren Park and pick up the points. But now St Mirren were excellent. It's a really good run, promising signs for them.
Reagan, St Mirren take the lead after 6 minutes, and I think St Mirren have had a terrific few weeks, obviously, as well. As Lewis said, I think they've won 3 in a row and they're now up at 9 points. But Hibs have got a lot of talent going forward, and we saw that with Martin Boyle. They've got that boy Johan looks talented as well. Like, that strikes me that Hibs are going to struggle in terms of, like, you've got all this talent, but you're not really getting anything going.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think they'll struggle to get in the top 6. If I'm honest, I don't know if you've seen the chance, Scott. That I think it's that you, and I think he's. I think he's basically 12 yards from the goal, and he just skies it.
Yeah.
But no, I think they'll struggle this year. I think Lee Johnson's in big trouble, especially after so early on in the season. But I think he's in trouble, to be honest, because like you two spoke about there, I think he's been lucky to get draws against Robbie Nielsen's side and then against Rangers last week. And then they got a lucky last minute winner against St Johnstone in the first day of the season that probably papered over the cracks as well. So I think if you're Ron Gordon, then it's a difficult one because you probably need some more players in there. I think this could be the busiest transfer window for the past couple of seasons, because I think there's still a lot of work to be done for a lot of squads. I mean, see if I'm Lee Johnson, I'm looking to get a striker in. I don't know what's happening with Nisbet, but I think I'd be looking for a striker.
I think he's injured.
I think I'd be looking for a striker, Scott, because they just don't look scoring. If it's not Boyle or Newell as well, and it's a sorry sight for the supporters at Easter Road, because they would be expecting Lee Johnson to try and get them to 5th place or top 6 football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're bang on there. I think there's a lot of questions needing asked at Hibs at the moment. I think they're needing a bit of depth. I think, as you say, I think Kevin Nisbet's injured, but I wouldn't be confident in his form in the past few months. I don't think he was hitting the heights last season that it has been the past couple of seasons. But St Mirren, on the other hand, I think there's a bit more creativity coming in their way. I think that boy Strain looked really good just on Saturday.
Yeah.
I think they will actually be hoping that they can keep this run going. But again, just a really big result for St Mirren. But we'll move into the results in the SPFL. Let's start with the Championship. We will go to Ayr 3, Dundee 1, Hamilton 1, Arbroath 0, Inverness 0, Morton 1, Partick Thistle 2, Wraith 1, and Queen's Park 2, Cove Rangers 1. Can I start on my result of the Championship?
Sure.
I am going all day long. Ayr United are top of the league and they'll stay there the whole season. Ayr United are going to win the Championship. Dipo Adekemi is the best striker in the league. I was really impressed with her, by the way, especially going 1 down so early to come back. And I think they are actually going places at the moment. I've obviously where I'm from. I'm from Ayr originally. I've got a soft spot for them. I like to see them doing well. I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes. I've spoke to like kind of Graham Mathie and David Smith. I know they're planning big things. So to see them getting a bit of luck on the park as well, and Lee Bullen I think's come in and done really well. United are sitting top of the league, and I've been very impressed with them. Lewis, what about Morton? Big result for them going to Inverness and 1-1 now.
Oh, massive result for Morton, Scott. Obviously, I'm at every game. They've been steady so far. They lost at Wraith. That was their only loss. But their fans they've been crying out for a goal scorer. They've been tweets left, right, and centre. How they signing? We're getting a striker in the door, kind of thing. But Inverness, I expected a reaction from them, especially when they get beat 4-1 off Partick, especially on their home patch. But obviously with Morton, you know what you're getting. You're going to get a real stuffy kind of performance. So they're a tough team to break down, a tough team to beat. But no, Morton, I was really impressed. Made the long journey up there. That's back-to-back clean sheets for them now. They're really solid defensively. I wasn't that impressed with Inverness. I don't think they really threatened too much throughout the game. I think that the keeper, Brian Schwack, he didn't have too much to do, but I think it was Morton. They got the penalty, and Grant Gillespie dispatched it. He's third now. He's obviously the captain's armband there, and he's really impressing. I've actually been really impressed with him since he came in the summer. I've seen people saying they kind of rely on penalties and stuff to win games all the time, but no, I do get him. I was really happy with their performance, and that.
He signed a new contract as well, isn't he?
He signed a new contract on Friday, so obviously that's his future sorted. They got a new sponsorship deal as well, so obviously that's kind of beneficial going forward off the park as well, in terms of maybe being able to bring a couple more in before the end of the deadline as well. But no, as you mentioned there as well, that's the clash next Saturdays up at Capello, so it'll be interesting to see if they can follow that up. Capello is obviously a tough place to go, and they make it really difficult for teams. So we'll see what Ayr are made of when they got there.
Yeah, a big test for Ayr. That'll be a good one to look at next weekend. Reagan, what was your result in the Championship? What caught your eye?
Queen's Park.
Okay.
I think Queen's Park are really starting to build something under Coyle, and I think they're doing something good there. Obviously, they've got who's the guy they got from Kilmarnock, the player
Naismith.
Dom
Thomas, sorry.
Dom Thomas, yeah, Dom Thomas. I mean, they've got him as a striker as well. So I think Queen's Park, I think they'll surprise a few people this year.
Yeah, I think it's hard to argue with that. I think they're, again, starting really well. I think a quick mention as well to my tip for the Championship was Partick Thistle. They're sitting in second as well, along with Queen's Park. They beat Wraith 2-1. Big result. Again, I think that's going to be a competitive league. I think, again, Ayr have kind of hit the ground running as well. But we'll move into League One. Let's go through the results in there. Alloa 5, Peterhead 0, Dunfermline 1, Airdrieonians 1, Falkirk 3, Queen of the South 1, Edinburgh 2, Clyde 0, Montrose 3, Kelty Hearts 0. Lewis, give us your result of the weekend in League One.
I think the commanding win for Alloa's the kind of standout. Obviously, that leaves Peterhead in a wee bit of trouble at the bottom of the league. I think it's them and Kelty. They're yet to win a game, but it's obviously still early on. It's a tough league. All these kind of leagues are really competitive. You mentioned with the Championships, exactly same for Leagues 1 and 2. No, it was a really impressive result for Alloa. And the likes of Airdrie as well, mentioned to them, I think, did they draw?
They drew with Dunfermline, top of the table clash.
Yeah, so
I think they two will be very close this season.
I think they'll be right up there. Airdrie will obviously be looking to. They lost out in the playoffs to Queen's Park last year, so I think they'll be looking to bounce back. They've started really well, obviously. But no, I think the Alloa result that stands out. Yeah,
Reagan, what about yourself? What was your result of the weekend in League One?
I'll go for Montrose beating Kelty Hearts. I mean, for me, I think Kelty Hearts, they've done well the past couple of years, but they're struggling now that Thompson's left them, and it's just disappointing to see because of it. I think they've been a great addition to the lower Scottish football, but yeah, they've not started well, but Montrose are starting to pick up as well, so.
I think there's something badly happening at Kelty. I don't think that's all down to the manager. I think something's amiss. I look at their team, and you've got the likes of Jamie Burjonis missing. You've got Joe Cardle not there either. Tam Aware. There's players missing. Nathan Austin isn't even in the squad. I don't know if something's happened. I don't know what's going on. But again, I'm surprised they've started the way they have. But Have to give a mention as well to obviously Alloa, Connor Salmon with a double, Bradley Rodden scoring goals. There's good players in that Alloa team. I think that could be a big win for them. League Two, let's get into that, and then we'll talk about the League Cup. Albion 2, Annan 2, Bonnyrigg 1, Stirling 0, Dumbarton 2, Elgin 1, 5 wins in a row for Dumbarton. 4 for 1, Stenhousemuir 2, and Stranraer 2, East Fife 2. Lewis, what result catches your eye in League Two?
I think Bonnyrigg winning.
Aye.
That stands out. Obviously, it's always going to be difficult coming up into League Two, and they've started really well. With the one at Stirling, it's obviously a real stuffy league, and you never know what you're going to get with a team coming up from the Lowland League. They'll come up. So no, that really stands out. Obviously, as you mentioned, Dumbarton winning 5-5. They're the kind of high flyers. Are they going to be the come
back for a 7-0 drubbing for Rangers B during the week to win your 5th game in a row in the league? That's big. Yeah. It's big for them.
I know. I know. You think are they going to be this season's Celtic Hearts run away with League Two? But as we keep saying, it's early days. But no, the Bonnyrigg, I'm impressed with them. Obviously, I've seen them in the League Cup when they came to Capel. I wasn't sure how they'll fare, but no, they seem to start quite well.
Reagan, what about yourself? Result of the weekend in League Two?
I think it'd be Bonnyrigg Rose as well. I mean, they've started really well, as you guys have said there, and I think they're in for a good season, man. I think they're showing what if you give the lower league teams a chance, then they can definitely come up there and do very good things.
Yeah, I think I'll give a wee mention as well with Stenhousemuir. Obviously, Will Sewell scoring as well. I think that was his first goal in the league. Massive result for them. I think they badly needed it. I think they had a disappointing start, but they'll be happy with a 2-1 victory away to Forfar. Let's move into quickly. We'll talk about the League Cup coming up this week. We will be doing a special extra show on Friday, reviewing all the action over the week in the League Cup. Lewis, do you see any giant killings taking place? I'll look in particular at Annan versus Aberdeen as the kind of game that's catching my eye. Could Annan spring a surprise at home to Aberdeen?
It's always difficult to predict kind of games like that, obviously on paper. It just all depends on how many changes Jim Goodwin decides to make for that kind of game. Always difficult when you have to travel during the week to teams in the lower leagues. They're going to be right up for it. I can't see a surprise personally, but stranger things have happened, definitely. I'm just looking at the other fixtures, if there could be any other real surprises.
It's quite it's a wee bit. There's a lot of kind of much of a muchness in kind of Rangers going to South. I think Rangers will bring the changes in. I think they'll bring in Yilmaz, Matondo maybe start. They'll get some games. They'll get some game time for their legs as well. I think Celtic will go to Ross County and win comfortably. And I don't really see many. I think Livingston if Livingston win convincingly against Dundee United, I think that if a change isn't happening with Dundee United, I think a big result for Livingston at home to Dundee United could be the beginning of the end, shall we say. But I don't really see much else happening. I think Dundee Falkirk's the one that kind of strikes me as like, could Falkirk maybe go to Dundee? I don't think Dundee have been in the best of form. I think Falkirk will be maybe fancying their chances there. But apart from that, I think Hearts Kilmarnock's a game that sticks out as well. But I don't really see many kind of giant killings there, Reagan. Do you see anything in the League Cup that catches your eye?
No, I mean, like you said, they're Falkirk versus Dundee is probably the ones that you look at and you go, well, there might be surprises with Falkirk there. But apart from that, no, I expect Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen, and Robbie Nelson's side all to go through, and for it to be a very good quarter final, showpiece, because I think for Scottish football, it's always good to see all the big teams get through and see it being a good spectacle. But like you said, then it's a big week for Jack Ross, because if there's any point during the season where Jack Ross needs to get that big victory, I think it's on Wednesday night, because see if we can just get a big win, that could change everything.
Yeah, I think that could be a massive game either way. I think Dundee United, it could be one of those ones as well where it's a free, not a free hit, but it's like it's a one-off game. Let's try and do something. Shows that you actually want to be there, as opposed to just being 5 yards away from Celtic players and letting them walk the ball into the net, which is what it looked like on Sunday to me, because I thought I just was so disappointed in their defending. But
Yeah.
again, it's going to be another exciting week. We are going to be covering it all week long. We'll do an extra show on Friday. Lewis, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
No problem at all, Scott. Thanks for having me. It's been a while. I'm glad to be back on. Hopefully, can do it again soon.
Brilliant. Welcome anytime, man. Reagan, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on.
Scott, thank you for having me, mate, and I'll see you again soon, mate.
Brilliant. Thank you very much to everyone that's tuned in to the show. Follow the channel all week for some coverage relating to. We're going to do a wee Tier 5 roundup on the channel tomorrow afternoon. We will also have live coverage of the Scottish Cup round 1, and we'll have plenty coming out over the week in the West, the women's game, and there'll be a lot of stuff coming out in the channel over the week. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you soon. Cheers.